We can be sure about many things, but we can never be sure about our universe. Of course, we can have theories formulated through mathematical equations and past events, but no one can say that any theory is totally correct. However, some are certainly more realistic than others. From planets that love each other to a new planetary discovery, here are 15 theories about the universe that will blow your mind. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos every day. That being said, let's begin. Number 15. Is the universe alive? Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state. Then, nearly 14 billion years ago, expansion started. Wait, many of us know what we know about the Earth's existence from the American TV sitcom The Big Bang Theory, but the idea of expansion isn't just fictional ideas from a show. Many experts believe that is exactly how the universe came to exist. We, as a human race, didn't one day burst into the atmosphere as a fully formed group of people. We are the product of millions of years of evolution from single-celled life forms. There's a high possibility that the Earth is alive, growing, and evolving in precisely the same way. Just take a look at this image. If the universe is alive, could this be a somewhat clear representation of how it would look? Also, if it is in fact alive, do you believe that we are all shifting toward a peaceful universe like the left image, or an evil one like on the right? It's not out of the question to assume that the Earth we have now is potentially not the one that'll be here billions of years from now. Pennsylvania State University physics professor Lee Smolin draws on theories from Stephen Hawking and Lebedev Physics Institute's Andre Linde to form an idea on baby universes. The universe is alive how we know it today because it might have developed from a smaller universe. It's well known already that our Earth defies the typical formation of a universe, given that most are far smaller and short-lived. There's every possibility that there's room for evolvement yet. Number 14. A recycled universe. The Earth is a mysterious place. We go about our daily business, which is all-consuming, never really thinking that our lives are one speck on the face of a complex universe. A universe that could very well be expanding and recycling itself before our very eyes. That is the theory posed by Princeton University's Paul Steinhardt and Cambridge University's Neil Torok. They believe the cosmological constant, which is a form of energy related to the Earth's expansion, used to be far larger than it is today. This controversial theory would mean that the Earth has exploded into existence many times in an endless death and birth cycle. The study was printed in the journal Science, which discussed the cosmological constant known as lambda. Lambda is what they believe to be energy that causes acceleration of the universe's expansion. It is their belief that the value or level of lambda decreases over time with each cycle of the universe. If the Earth undergoes energy changes that result in its death and rebirth, then what does that mean? How would the Earth regenerate itself? Two theories are thrown around. The first is that dark energy, if it's a cosmological constant, could further decrease until the universe can produce low-mass particles to form stars, planets, and even humans. The other theory is that if dark energy is not a cosmological constant, it might just continue to expand the universe until everything bound to Earth is at risk of a large tear, ripping life as we know it into oblivion. Most people will be pinning their hopes on theory number 1. Number 13. Is the universe a hologram? The black hole has been puzzling scientists for as long as we've known about it. When the black hole swallows something, where does it go? No one knows, and we may never know. But that's another story, for there is another theory that the Earth could be, in fact, a hologram. If how the black hole operates is anything to go by. Most people know that when you put an object in a bag, its volume grows. But a black hole, theoretical physicists believe, acts differently. When something enters the black hole, it's the surface area that grows, not its volume. That would be like throwing your old refrigerator into a landhole and it sticks to the outer edges without going into it. Such a scenario adds weight to the theory that the black hole is a hologram of some sort, that it's three-dimensional, but we can only see 2 dimensions of it at one time. The same rule applies when you take a photo of yourself. You are 3 dimensions, and you can see the front of your face, but you aren't able to view the back of your head. With a hologram, all of the information is there, but you can only see the face of it at any one time. Such a theory could explain why Einstein's theories are sound regarding general relativity, but then fall apart when you start viewing the mechanisms at a quantic level. The problem is, even if the Earth or even just the black hole is a hologram, we may never know for sure. That's why it only remains a theory. One of many. Number 12. Is the universe a computer simulation? Most of us at one point or another have walked into a room, forgotten why, then left again. Brain fade, we call it, or having a moment. But could it be that we are all part of a computer simulation or experiment by a more intelligent race? That we, like Sims computer game characters, have a green diamond floating over our heads with someone else deciding what we do and who we are? It seems absurd, but is it really? The theory is being floated around as a legitimate scientific hypothesis, and one that many people tended to agree with at the annual Isaac Asimov Memorial Debate at the American Museum of Natural History. Hayden Planetarium Museum director and debate moderator Neil deGrasse Tyson said there could be a 50-50 chance we exist on someone's hard drive. He said beings with a far greater intelligence might see us as idiots and that we are their creation for their amusement. University of Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom was thinking along the same lines back in 2003. He said there's every possibility that an advanced civilization could be playing with simulations to see what their ancestors were like. But it's not just opinions that make people believe we are but Sims, it's the crazy reality that mathematical equations very much define the universe in which we live. Everything appears to have a solution in rigid mathematical forms, almost as if our civilization's been coded on someone's fancy computer. Number 11. Held together by love. It's not gravity that keeps planets orbiting their suns, it's love. Or so one left-wing political theorizer once believed. Charles Fourier, a Frenchman who lived from 1772 until 1837, believed that Isaac Newton's theories were pretty sound, but were not as probable as his. He thought that it wasn't gravity that was keeping planets in orbit, but the attraction that each planet had for each other on a romantic level. Charles proposed that stars, moons, and planets were all living animals that could touch, taste, and see. He also thought they liked to mate with each other. Eclipses, therefore, were caused by the sun and moon having a little alone time like mommies and daddies do when they love each other very much. Charles deduced that the south pole of each planet was a female and the north pole was a male. The two would link together through an airy substance. So the next time you thank gravity for keeping your feet firmly on the ground, think again. You should really be thanking stars, moons, and planets for their romantic attractions. Number 10. Universe made out of ice. Mathematics has long been a recognized and sound way to conclude many things in life. If you have one apple and get another apple, you now have 2 apples. That answer is evidenced by, well, the fact that you now have 2 apples. But if you were to ask Austrian astronomer Hans Horbiger about math in regards to the Milky Way and, our existence, he would tell you that it's nothing but lies. Hans, who lived from 1860 until 1931, believed that stars didn't exist. He wrote a book in 1913 that outlined his theory on the Milky Way being made up of planet-sized blocks of ice. He said they formed a ring around our solar system, and suns behind that ring caused a reflection that made us believe we see stars. If any astronomer attempted to show Hans photos of stars that weren't made of ice blocks, he would say they were fake. Show him a sound mathematical equation, and he would say it was all lies. Hans, who used no math at all in his theory, called it the world ice theory. Essentially, he believes that a super sun had orbited a planet covered in ice. The ice fell into the sun and turned into steam that blew the sun to smithereens. The resultant lumps of rock and fire then became the planets that form our solar system. Number 9. Born from a black hole. Most people believe that the Big Bang is the reason we all exist. But even though it's the soundest explanation for life as we know it, a lot of the information surrounding that theory still doesn't make sense. Such as, how can such a massive explosion result in our planet with a completely uniform temperature? Scientists have already realized that Earth hasn't been around long enough to have reached an equilibrium in temperature, so that's one of many unanswered questions to this day. Another theory might explain that, and it relates to a black hole. There's a theory out there relating to a 4D star collapsing into the black hole and ejecting debris. The Big Bang Theory, the actual theory, not the TV show, has us believe that the universe came from one dense or single point, but there's never been an explanation as to how or why. According to Perimeter Institute's theoretical physics astrophysicist Neayesh Afshordi from Waterloo, Canada, there's nothing even to suggest that it wasn't fairy tale dragons that flew out of the black hole. Basically, no one knows anything for sure. While the black hole theory is not without its flaws, as discovered in a 4% discrepancy of the Black Theory model, it's still an ingenious method for nearly disproving the Big Bang Theory. Number 8. The Big Crunch. The Big Crunch. The Big Rip, Big Freeze, end of life as we know it. Different names for the same thing have been thrown around for some time. How will our universe end? Will it end? No one knows for sure, but there are theories as to its most likely fate, theories that won astrophysicists a Nobel Prize in 2011. Instead of ceasing to exist, space collapsing back onto itself, or being swallowed up by some previously unknown force, the more likely scenario is that the universe will expand. The power that works against gravity, known as dark energy, may pull the world apart at its seams, pushing galaxies away from us until the Earth is all alone. Stanford University astrophysicist Steve Allen said no one knows for sure what's gonna happen, but that dark energy is possibly going to play a part. He says we see all these galaxies and stars in the sky, but these may be pulled further and further away, the more that dark energy counteracts gravity. Fortunately for us, such an event is probably not going to happen in our lifetime or the next, or even, the next one after that. Number 7. The Big Rip. The Big Rip is one of many theories that determine the more likely way our universe is going to end. That's not depressing at all, right? Even though no one can know for sure, it's worth thinking about the possible scenarios, even though we won't be able to do anything about them. One of the more likely scenarios for how our universe will cease to exist is the Big Rip. This is when dark energy causes galaxies to be separated from each other and for the cosmic horizon to grow ever smaller. Eventually, individual solar systems, planets, and individual atoms will tear apart and disappear into the void of space. All of our stars will burn out, and all of our black holes will also disappear. It sounds like a bleak world to live in, but it won't happen overnight. If the Big Rip is going to happen, which Dartmouth physicist Robert Caldwell describes as being a possibility, then it will happen hierarchically. Large-scale to small-scale events will take place, which means that we won't just wake up one day and die in a burning ball of fire. We will see it coming, and that might be good or bad, depending on who you talk to. Regardless, there will be no way for any of us to stop it if it does. Number 6. The universe is lopsided. Hot and cold spots in the cosmic microwave background of the universe could signify that the universe is lopsided, and bizarrely so. Data dating back to 2003 from NASA's Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy probe showed that one side of the cosmos is significantly cooler than the other. However, this data does not correlate with the general theory around cosmology, which is that the universe expanded with an Earth growth spurt to make the cosmic microwave background relatively uniform. But the data doesn't lie, even if theories before its existence appeared to be quite sound. The European Space Agency's Planck satellite showed similar results to the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy probe, even though it's a more reliable and accurate form of technology. However, it's still a puzzling situation. University of Oslo cosmologist Yababal Fonte and his team ran around 10,000 simulations of how the cosmic microwave background should look when compared to the standard universe evolution model. Only 7 of those simulations looked similar to the data from the Planck satellite. Therefore, there's room for the idea that the universe is lopsided, but it's an ever-narrowing tunnel of validity. There's more scope that energy fields are warping the world, or that collisions with other universes from ancient times have played a part in the temperature fluctuations. Number 5. Time is slowing down. If you've ever felt like no time is passing at all as you type away at your computer in your office cubicle, then you could be right. Scientists are starting to look at the possibility that time is slowing down and billions of years from now could stop. It all started when scientists viewed supernova stars and discovered they were moving away from us faster than supernova that were nearer to us. We have always thought that stars move at the same rate as the universe itself has, and that our gravitational effect has the same impact on them. We did, however, come to learn that dark energy might play a part, which solved part of that mystery. But there's more. Basque County scientists from Bilbao and a few from the University of Salamanca in Spain theorized that time itself could be slowing down, rather than gravity playing any part. They believe that the faraway galaxies may only look like they're speeding up because we are using our deep space telescopes to look at them when time was going faster. The theory is speculative, obviously, and was published in the UK Telegraph and New Scientist, but it is still intriguing. Professor Jose Senovia from the University of the Basque County said that if time is slowing, it could stop altogether in billions of years from now. They are now looking at the possibility of 2 dimensions of time rather than just the one we now know of. Number 4. Black holes to other universes. Black holes are something in space that have hugely influential gravitational fields. Everything, even light, can't help but be sucked into their grasp if it's within the black hole's event horizon. Astronomers have been able to identify black holes based on how things swirl around them, but as it turns out, many of those identified black holes could actually be wormholes. Wormholes are strange passages that connect you from one place and propel you into another. They are also like an odd blip in the Matrix. The problem astronomers are having is that they can't tell the difference. There are, of course, differences between wormholes and black holes, but they are not observable in practice. There is also no sound option at this stage for determining the difference firsthand. If you send someone into what you think is a wormhole, you may find it's a black hole, and that person will be torn apart. If it is a wormhole, then you also have no idea when they will come back out, if at all, and how long that process can take. It could take billions of years, and by then it's far too late for both the person in the black hole and the researchers waiting for information at the other end. However, science is pretty magical, so researchers are working on a black hole information paradox. They are hoping to be able to tell the two apart using future particle accelerators. Number 3. First communication from Earth to aliens would be Hitler. What on earth are we talking about? Why would Hitler be the first person that aliens would hear if we finally made communication with alien life? Calm down, you're about to find out. The year was 1974, and the human race was trying to make contact with Messier 13, a globular star cluster over 20,000 light years away. We fired information at 2,380 megahertz with 1,000 kilowatts of power, with messages such as hello, a solar system graphic, and numbers 1 through 10. Mostly we wanted to send information out there so that we could show that we existed. But as it turns out, that was not the only way we've been able to communicate with potential other planets. We just didn't really know it. Frequencies from early television broadcasts were high enough to breach the ionosphere and make their way to space. When Nazi Germany televised the 1936 Olympic Games opening ceremony to 41 countries, Adolf Hitler was a prominent figure. There's every reason to believe that the low frequency at which it was televised meant it could have made it to an alien life form. Number 2. Earth will look like Venus. The human race is a curious bunch. We're always looking for new planets to live on, as if Earth wasn't enough to satisfy our needs. That's why Mars is on our radar. When you compare it to all other planets we've so far discovered, it appears to be one of the most habitable. But believe it or not, Venus once looked pretty good. It likely had blue skies, night and day, and even oceans. In its early days, it was probably more than capable of hosting us, and was a lot closer than Mars too. But the sun was a lot dimmer and smaller back then, and it's aged a lot in 4.5 billion years. As Venus moved out of the habitable zone and into the inhabitable zone, things got crazy fast. Now, Venus is made up of nearly entirely carbon dioxide, with a surface pressure 90 times more intense than that on Earth. There are sulfuric acid clouds that remove the defining factor between night and day, and there are only around 2 days in a year. It's all topsy-turvy on Venus. Oh, and it's hot too. Average daily temperatures are around 700 degrees, enough to melt lead. What about steel beams? And over 750 degrees in the valleys of Venus as well. Because all the water has dried up, the crust is locked and the tectonic plates no longer move. We need them for carbon dioxide regulation. The most horrifying part is that Venus used to look like Earth, but the sun aged. That's gonna happen to us too. The brighter it glows, the further out that habitable zone moves. Within a few 100 million years, the oceans will begin to evaporate and the Earth will move into that same inhabitable area that Venus is now familiar with. Number 1. Planet 9. The man responsible for killing off Pluto is more than making up for it by discovering a new planet, Planet X, or Planet 9. After sound research over several years, planetary scientists Mike Brown and Konstantin Batygin from the California Institute of Technology in Pasadena believe they have found a new planet that had previously been knocked out of orbit. Planet X orbits the sun every 15,000 years and has been slowed down by gas. Its shadows behind the other planets almost lurking in the background. Their research to date also shows that it's around the size of Neptune and has the mass of around 10 Earths. There's only a 0.007% chance that it's not a planet. Direct detection is yet to be made. It's hoped that we will be able to view Planet X through a telescope viewfinder at some point within 15,000 years. We will never know for sure how the universe came to exist, or how and when it will no longer exist. We think some of these theories are pretty sound though. Do you have any other ideas? Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time.